Beyond these pages lies a world of gods, monsters, betrayal, and impossible power.
A century ago, a mysterious rift tore open in the skies above Earth, unleashing swarms of dimensional beasts that ravaged the planet and drove humanity to the edge of extinction. Only those blessed with awakened talents could stand against them. Among the survivors is Ye Tian, an orphan living with his younger sister, the only family he has left. Unfortunately, Ye Tian possesses one of the weakest talents imaginable, leaving him plagued by doubt about whether he can protect the person he cares for most. But everything changes the day he gets zapped by this creepy energy in his dreams, and upon waking up, he finds a strange notification before his eyes, an otherworldly system prompt granting him the ability to copy his sister's talent. From that moment on, Ye Tian holds the power to rewrite his destiny, for his new gift allows him to copy any talent he desires. Meanwhile, that pigtailed cutie proudly shows off the dish she made for him, braised pork, his favorite. Grateful for the meal and a word of home, Ye Tian can't help but smile. The power of talent copying is miraculous, but there's no way he's going to test it on his little sister. Still, he notices her base talent is way better than his own weak tier 1. Ye Yu's frost talent is extremely rare, and once it awakens, he sure shall absolutely dominate her opponents. He silently hopes their parents can rest easy now. Later, Ye Tian throws on a hoodie and heads out for a walk, ready to test his new ability. Activating his talent sensor, he finds the range is only about 3 meters for now. In a crowned fill with low-tier talents, that tiny radius feels frustrating. He's hoping to spot at least a mid-tier talent, but all he's picking up are unimpressive ones. Still, he's also considering checking out the academy soon. Even if he awakened with a low-tier talent, this copying ability might completely change the game for him. One thing's for sure, Ye Tian is set on joining an academy that doesn't judge students based on talent evaluations. That thought sparks an idea, and he decides to apply to Linhai Best 5th Academy. And he walks toward the campus. He sees plenty of students with mid-tier talents passing by, all belonging to this very academy, but yet he doesn't feel discouraged. Deep down, he's confident that his copy talent will take him to heights they haven't even dreamed of achieving. He knows he's going to get stronger, way stronger, in the days to come. 10 days later, at Linhai Base 5th Academy, inside Martial Stadium No. 3, an instructor is giving a lecture on the path to becoming a martial warrior. He explains that the journey begins by first becoming a martial apprentice, laying the foundation for everything that comes next. But becoming a martial apprentice only begins by first learning the body training technique. From this point on, the instructor is ready to teach them that very technique. He tells the group that the key lies in forming an air vortex right in front of their chest, a sign that they've successfully grasped the basics of body training. Everyone gets into their poses, trying their best to follow his lead. Most of the students either faint, limp, or collapse in frustration, struggling to even activate their energy. But Ye Tian doesn't even flinch. One of the students suddenly shouts in panic that someone's passed out, but the instructor doesn't even blink. He sternly tells them to ignore the weak ones. There's no room for losers here. The only thing he demands from them is to create an air vortex, because without that, there's zero chance of becoming a martial warrior. Meanwhile, Ye Tian is quietly battling his own crisis. He's doing everything right, but nothing's happening, not even a breeze. Frustration builds inside him as he curses his low-tier talent, blaming it for his failure to produce an apathic hair. Just as the instructor's patience wears thin, he snaps and calls this class the worst he's ever taught. Everyone's collapsed on the ground, everyone except Ye Tian, who's still standing, even if barely. The instructor scoffs and says he hopes these losers start following the example of Chen Dong and crank up their motivation instead of acting like a bunch of lazy idiots. Later, Ye Tian turns to Zhang Bao and asks who this Chen Dong guy is. Jan grins and spills the details. Chen Dong is the real deal, now Iraford's Jend. Adityanongi Hathamong's the real spot is the martial apprentice, and he was so impressive that even the principal took him in for personal discipline. Ye Tian figures Chen Dong must have a way higher tier talent. Then John proudly shows off Chen Dong's autograph, saying that when Chen Dong hits the top, that signature alone could pay his rent for a few months. Ye Tian is left speechless while Pigface stands there puffing out his chest with pride. Suddenly, a wave of excitement breaks out as every student around starts jumping with joy, thrilled to see Chen Dong walking this way. Now the whole crowd is dying for his autograph, and Zhang walked ahead while Spee, ready to shove everyone out of the way just to score another one. Meanwhile, Ye Tian is checking out Chen Dong, who's kind of a big deal around here with a solid mid-tier ranking. Chen Dong tells everyone he is there to encourage them on behalf of their teacher, and has no intention of becoming a laughingstock in front of his friends. Ye Tian, playing it smart, insisted on shaking his hand, which made the crowd go wild. Shang races to snag the first handshake, and the rest of the crowd rushes in behind him until it's finally Ye Tian's turn. The Kai's got a little dame running. He reaches out, seals the handshake, and Dawn casually wishes him good luck. That's when it clicks for Ye Tian. Later on, he stands in front of the status window that reads, mid-tier talent copied, and it's ready to fuse now. Even the Talent Reaper isn't sure how this fusion is going to turn out. The guy still isn't sure why he was zapped by thunder from the inside out before, but he pushes that thought aside to focus on what's in front of him. He goes ahead and selects the fusion option. The moment he does, a sharp pain shoots through his chest, like someone shoving his harp strings through a meat grinder. Now, this skill thief's brain feels like it's melting, finally realizing that stealing isn't as easy as it sounds. The guy's down on the floor, barely holding on. After a while, the status window lights up, confirming that his cultivation talent has successfully upgraded to mid-tier. Painful as it was, the Reaper figures it's worth it, trading all that agony for a fresh start and a brand new version of himself. Also, the copy talent cooldown is just 30 days. He figures he can keep copying talents again whiz the time is up, which works out perfectly to him. Now he shifts gears to try out the body training technique. After getting into position, he gives it another go, and right in front of his eyes, a tiny tornado starts to form. Everything flows so smoothly now that he's rocking a mid-tier talent. With this, he starts to see the bigger picture, and becoming an elite martial warrior doesn't seem so far-fetched anymore. In fact, reaching the level of a great martial warrior actually feels possible. A month later, under the light of the moon, a vicious wolf is leaping from rooftop to rooftop. At the same time, a father and daughter are out making dinner plans. Meanwhile, Yaten is now a martial apprentice with a long road ahead before he can call himself a true martial warrior. With Chendon getting personal training from the principal, Yaten figures that guy must be leveling up way faster than he is. In the blink of an eye, the lantern the father is carrying crashes to the ground, as the savage wolf pounces on him and kills him instantly. The little girl's cry cuts straight through the silence, and Yaten straight it. His straight-trained pill, the brutal strike. All of a sudden, panic erupts as everyone realizes there's a monster in their midst. Shouts fill the air, people screaming for everyone to run, their voices shaking with fear after witnessing it kill someone. It's Yaten's first time seeing a monster up close. Just as the creature closes in on the little girl, Yaten musters the courage to pull her out of the way, the wolf hot on their heels. Terror grips him as he realizes the beast is too fast, giving them barely any time to escape. Right then, a heroic figure bursts them to a seam, slamming into the wolf from behind and cracking the road beneath them. The silver moon wolf spins around, snarling at the figure who dare to interrupt its hunt. Standing there is none other than the famous Captain Gale Wolf, apologizing for showing up late. He orders Yatian to keep the girl safe while he handles the beast. As Yatian catches his breath and holds the girl close, Gale Wolf stands tall, ready to put on a show. Just as the hero clashes with the fearsome wolf, Yatian quickly covers the little girl's eyes, shielding her from the brutal scene. Gale Wolf, locked in combat, instantly senses the raw power packed into the beast like it's no ordinary monster. Even after tossing it aside like trash, he can tell its speed is nothing to take lightly. But with a smirk, he reminds the overgrown puppy that he's not fighting alone. Right then, 3 of his teammates drop out of the sky like thunder, landing beside him, ready to finish what he started. As Gale Wolf makes his move, his teammates charge in to back him up, striking the beast deep with their blades. For a moment there blendereth their paps far lay down for grad. But then, the monster lets out a bone-chilling scream, a red aura oozing from its body like steam off boiling blood. One look and the guy knows what's coming. It's entering bloodburst mode. He warns the others to stay sharp because things are about to get a whole lot worse. One of his lackeys rushes over to check on the captain, who's holding up just fine for now. But then, they all spot Wolfie trying to make a break for it, slipping into the shadows. Gale Wolf narrows his eyes, already on the move. There's no way he's letting this pet walk out of here alive. Out of the blue, a surge of purple mana floods the air as a girl drops in right on time, her bow already drawn. Gale Wolf flashes a grin. He'd been waiting for this pretty archer to show up. Then, she loses her arrow, and it whistles through the air, landing clean in the Silvermoon Wolf's neck. Just like that, the beast collapses to the ground, dead on the spot. Gale Wolf laughs out loud, saying the beast is still way too weak to pick a fight with their squad. Another teammate throws a nod of praise to the crow. Quanter sniping throws top tier. Meanwhile, Yaten quietly checks the monster's status. The status window reveals the Silver Moon Wolf's traits, low-tier blood talent, and novice-tier speed talent. Nothing too impressive on paper, but in the hands of a creature like this, still dangerous enough to throw unprepared fighters into chaos. Even the little girl is left wide-eyed, her jaw dropping at the brutal sight of the wolf's supposed death. But just as things start to settle, Yaten catches a subtle movement. One of the wolf's paws is twitching. Something's not right. One of the lackeys are cooling off, celebrating in their little victory bubble, and grumbling about how speed-type monsters are always a pain to deal with. They're already making drink plans like it's all over. That's when Gale Wolf's instincts kick in. He senses it. Something's off. Without wasting a second, he calls out to everyone that the monster's still alive. In a burst of rage, the Silvermoon Wolf rises to its feet, howling with fury. Its eyes burn with pure hatred, refusing to go down easily. Monsters like this don't understand defeat. They're terrifying in their tenacity, fighting until the last breath. Gale Wolf's team stands ready, waiting for orders, but the captain steps forward. He tells them to stand down. This weak puppy is his to finish. Right then, the big guy turns to Ye Tian and warns him to clear-eyed. Son, the area's too dangerous. But Ye Tian's too spaced out to react. Gale Wolf shouts at him to get the heck out, but the Talent Reaper sees this as the perfect chance to give his power a real test drive. Without hesitation, he marches straight toward the beast, ignoring every warning. He slams his fist into the Silver Moon Wolf, and in the next second, the status window pops up, saying talent copied. Ye Tian leaps back, only to land right on the wolf's body. The window keeps flashing over and over, repeating the same message. With both hands, the skill thieves press into the bowser, sending shockwaves of energies through, lighting the beast up from the inside. As he keeps copying its talents, Ye Tian starts to enjoy the slaughter, throwing punch after punch into the corpse. Finally, Gale Wolf steps in and snaps him out of it, reminding him that the beast's already long dead. Ye Tian, still gripping the wolf, knows for sure the creature is dead. But what matters most to him is that the talent has been successfully copied. Just then, Gale Wolf steps up and begins assigning cleanup duties to his team. He orders 3 of his subordinates to handle the removal of Dother Thangmang and the Silver Moon Wolf's corpse, while the archer is tasked with looking after the little girl. As they prepare to leave, Gale Wolf turns to Ye Tian and tells him he hopes to see him again, as a member of his squad, once Ye Tian reaches the rank of martial warrior. The thought fills Ye Tian with excitement, already looking forward to the day he's strong enough to earn that spot. Later, when he gets home, the first thing he does is wash the blood off his face, careful not to let his sister see any signs of what happened. If Ye Yu saw him like that, she probably worry herself sick. After cleaning he stepped out of the bathroom and walks through the quiet house, only to find Ye Yu fast asleep on her bed, snoring softly like a baby. In her sleep she mumbles, "Big bro," and it brings a quiet smile to his face. Then, stepping outside into the calm night, Ye Tian finally lets the weight of the day settle in. It hits him that this is the first day he has ever faced a real monster. Not to mention, the beast wasn't just a little stronger, it was 100 times more powerful and terrifying than the monsters from the stories he grew up hearing. As he gently tucks Ye Yu in, making sure she's warm and safe, a quiet resolve builds inside him. He knows he has to reach the status of martial warrior soon, because one day, he might be the only one standing between his sister and a nightmare like that. Now, his mind starts spinning with a wild thought, wondering if it's possible to merge monster talents into a human body. On the bed, he stares at the status window hovering in front of him, eyes locked on the details of the monster's talents. He knows deep down this fusion could be life-threatening, maybe more painful than the monster one. But the need to grow stronger burns brighter than any fear. If it means protecting the ones he holds dear, especially his sister, then he's ready to face whatever it takes, no matter how brutal the path gets. For the speed talent, Ye Tian braces himself. He shoves a cloth into his mouth, ready to bite down and endure whatever pain comes with it. As soon as he initiates the fusion process, the agony hits like a storm. It floods through his body, sharp and relentless, each wave feeling like his muscles and bones are being torn apart piece by piece. He wets his teeth, holding on, as if his very being is on the verge of shattering. In the middle of this brutal fusion process, a sharp crack echoes through the room, and his leg fractures instantly. The pain shoots up like fire. He stares at his leg, panic creeping in. He questions whether the talent copying failed. Doubt hits him hard, and for a second, he wonders if pushing his limits was a mistake after all. His head spins and his body feels like it's slipping away. This skill thief knows he's done for. The thought of calling out to Ye Yu crosses his mind. But before he will speak, the darkness swallows him whole. The next morning he wakes with a jolt, heart pounding, still shaken to the core. The first thing he does is check his leg and sees no fractures or bruises. Everything looks perfectly fine. He has no idea what happened during the night, but whatever it was, it gave him a serious upgrade. His body feels lighter. He quickly pulls up the status window. It confirms everything. Ye Tian, holding a mid-tier cultivation talent, now also has a novice-tier speed talent. The talent copying was a success. Later, on Grove at the Set's Academy, Ye Tian was all smiles, bounding through the forest like Tarzan, jumping off trees and landing with ease. He's bursting with energy, feeling like a brand new version of himself. As he tests out his new talent, a single leaf drifts down through the air, and with perfect timing, Ye Tian catches it without even trying. No doubt the swiftness of a silver moon wolf is just awesome. After that, Ye Tian gets into a position to practice the body training technique. He figures his speed now might be on par with that of a martial warrior, but his overall strength is still seriously lacking. It would be great if he could find a way to boost his cultivation speed. Out of nowhere, John calls out to him, spotting Ye Tian training in the grove. He walks over, pats this talent reaper on the shoulder, and immediately notices the difference. Ye Tian feels solid now, like a pretty sturdy guy. Shang bets he's already broken through the martial apprentice stage. Then he gets bold and asks if Ye Tian's looking for a way to get even stronger, suggesting he try drinking monster blood. This weirdo casually admits that he started intruding way fastly before outdrilled it himself. At first, Ye-Ten doesn't believe a word of it, but now he's genuinely shocked to hear that monster blood actually holds that much power. Ye-Ten feels a bit bitter about missing the chance to get the Silver Moon Wolf's blood when he had it right in front of him. But then, the weirdo Jang grins and says he might know a way to get his hands on some monster blood, if Ye-Ten's interested. Of course, Ye-Ten wouldn't mind hearing more. That's when Jang spills the details. Apparently, the higher-ups at their Linhai base have opened a new wild zone just outside the city. Have been set out as memorials to the side major academies. And the prize for passing the exam is none other than monster blood. Ye-Ten asks about the danger level of this wild zone, and John casually says it's pretty low. Most of the monsters have already been cleared out, except for a few leftover descendants, the weaker ones. Ye-Ten figures it's worth a try. Jane immediately tries to rope Ye-Ten into joining his squad for the exam. Ye-Ten's face goes blank, practically frozen, like he's been hit with a facial paralysis, clearly having a hard time accepting the offer. Jane whines that he only shared this top-secret info because they're good friends. Ye-Ten apologizes but says he'll join up next time. Jane calls him cold-hearted for turning him down like that. But in truth, Ye-Ten just finds teaming up too risky. His ability is still a secret, and revealing it could put everything at stake. He figures it's safer to handle things alone. This talent reaper is fired up and more determined than ever to break through, get his hands on that monster blood, and finally reach the rank of martial warrior. 1 month later, at the 5th Academy's rank Arphus, the professor demands to know if someone leaked the intel, since Tien signed up even without receiving the exam invitation. Hesitantly, Tien explained the situation. He's already a martial apprentice, so he's qualified enough to register. Frustrated, the professor tosses a life responsibility agreement at him. Even though he wants these kids to live a little longer, if Tien wants to take the exam, he has to sign it. Then, with a mix of anger and challenge, the professor tells him to get out, he's afraid to die. Sometime later, Tien steps out of the office with a slight smirk on his face. He's already signed the agreement. After he leaves, the professor scoffs, wondering if students really believe exams like this are meant for them. With a smirk of his own, he mutters that Tien will come to regret this. The next morning, Yayu wakes up and calls out for her brother, but the smell of delicious food pulls her toward the breakfast table, where everything's already prepared. She finds a note from Tien saying he'll be back in 3 days because his school has an event. Reading it, Yayu wonders what kind of event takes that long and silently hopes for her brother's safety. When Tien arrives at the location, the students from the 5th Academy are buzzing with excitement. There are so many students from all 5 major academies. Meanwhile, Mo Xiaobei, flanked by his bodyguard from the 1st Academy, throws a disdainful glance at the 5th Academy students, calling them scum from the Garbage Academy. His bodyguard playfully suggests he should hunt the monsters and the humans too, just to wildguard the Leiflings. Jingbao points at Mo Xiaobei and tells Tian that he's one of the strongest from the younger generation of the Mo family. Knowing how arrogant political families can be, Tian quickly figures out that Xiaobei is just another ego-driven guy. Suddenly, a guy with his sword still shaved walks straight into the 1st Academy's camp, eyes locked on Mo Xiaobei with fierce determination. The students start yelling, demanding to know how he even got into their camp. But the guy, clearly angry, ignores them and challenges Xiaobei to come face them, and says he's here to chop him into pieces. Hearing that, Xiaobei just smirks, making it clear he's ready to beat this guy all over again. Tian, seeing them argue like that, gets curious and wants to know who the guy is. Being the gossip king he is, Zhang Bao tells him that the guy is Li Yunqing, a genius from the 2nd Academy who once got defeated by Mo Xiaobei. The professor of the 1st Academy snaps at the students to stop messing around, reminding them that these people are strong and not to be taken lightly. But Tian doesn't care and starts loudly cheering for Li Yunqing. Li Yunqing looks confused and a little awkward, wondering who this random guy is and why he's cheering for him when they don't even know each other. Just then, the authorities find out that 2 rivals are about to fight, and an announcement goes out warning that anyone who starts a fight outside the wild zone will be disqualified from the zones. With no choice light, Li Yunqing walks away from the 1st Academy's camp, but not before vowing that he won't let his rival go once they're inside the wild zone. Xiaobei just laughs and says nothing, clearly amused. On the other hand, Li Yunqing walks up to Tian, praising him for having the guts to cheer him on and asking for his name. When Tian introduces himself, he also takes the chance to observe Li Yunqing's talents, noticing that he has a low-tier cultivation talent and a mid-tier sword talent, which Tian found quite decent. Tian excellent talent, offered to friendly testers support, encouraging Li Yunqing to give it his all and aim to surpass Mo Xiaobei in the upcoming Wild Zone exam. Li Yunqing, surprised, shakes his hand and wishes him luck too. What Li Yunqing doesn't know is that it was actually a clever move by Tian, who used the handshake to secretly copy Li Yunqing's sword talent. The moment the announcement is made that the exam has started, the students from the 1st Academy are called to enter the Wild Zone. Without hesitation, they all rush in. Meanwhile, Li Yunqing heads out to find his teen. annoyed that the students have to enter based on their academy's order. As soon as he leaves, Tien hurries to a hidden spot where he can safely fuse the TBATE talent. When he begins the fusion, a powerful surge of energy runs through his body, causing intense pain. Even though he's gone through this 2 or 3 times before, he's still not completely used to it, though he's getting better at handling the pain. Once the sword talent is fully fused, a strong electric wave bursts out around him. To test the new power, Tien slashes at the nearby trees that have been growing for years. Out with a single strike, he casts them down, leaving him stunned and amazed. His status window updates right after, now showing a mid-tier cultivation talent, a novice-tier speed talent, and a mid-tier sword talent. After a while, an announcement is made that the first 4 academies have entered the Wild Zone, and finally, it's time for the 5th academy. The students of the 5th academy, including Zhang Bao and Tian, step forward with confidence, ready to face whatever comes next. Upon entering the Wild Zone, all the students scatter in different directions. Tian moves alone along the path, staying alert in conscience. Suddenly he senses something trailing behind him. Without wasting a second, he spins around and sees a giant snake rushing toward him. Tian leaps high into the air and in the blink of an eye, strikes the monster down with his sword. The snake crashes to the ground lifeless. As proof of his kill, Tian takes one of its eyeballs and earns his first point. After the fight, Tian realizes these beasts are relatively weak, but according to the exam rules, the more beasts a student kills, the higher their rank will be. Exerting to reach the hike, Tian makes up his mind was the kill's first piece the Meyer wit. The reward for the top scorer includes 3 mid-tier beast bloods and 100,000 yuan, which is no small prize. Tian knows he has a long row ahead, and to earn these rewards, he must keep hunting. Using his speed talent, he starts jumping from one building to another, pushing forward to find more beasts. That's when he spots his friend Jane trapped and surrounded by a horde of monsters. John is frozen with fear, trembling and calling for help, completely unable to defend himself. As one of the flanched wolves lunges at him, Tian reacts himself. He crams a bow, fires an arrow, and kills the beast with precision. Zhang Bao's eyes go wide in shock when he sees Tian. Still terrified, Zhang warns him not to engage with these monsters, saying Tian is also too weak to take on the deadly flanged wolves. Hearing this, a smirk appears on Tian's face, and with the combined force of his speed and sword talents, he moves like a blur around the beasts, slicing them in half within seconds. Once all the monsters are down, Tian stands calmly in the middle of their lifeless bodies, unfazed. Meanwhile, Zhang stands frozen, too stunned to say a word, struggling to believe what he just witnessed. Everything feels unreal to him. After finishing off the monsters, Tian uses his sword to pull out the fan of the flanged wolf, then glances at Yang to see if he's okay with him keeping it. But Yang has no saying it. Tian's the one who killed them, so it's only fair he keeps the reward. Noticing how exhausted Zhang looks, Tian asks if he's really planning to keep going in this condition. But Zhang has already made up his mind. He's done with the exam, saying it's way too dangerous, and he's just lucky to survive to done getting hurt. All his teammates are badly injured, so his priority now is to get them out safely. Before Tian takes off again, Zhang warned him about a rumor going around, the presence of a pseudo-beast in the Wild Zone. Tian doesn't know anything about it, so Zhang explains that he heard a group from the First Academy is hunting a giant spotted snake over 10 meters long. It's not just any snake, it's a pseudo-beast, much stronger and rarer than the usual monsters. Taking it down is worth 500 points, which might be the highest score available. As soon as he hears that, Tian pressures Zhang is telling him the beast's location. Reluctantly, Zhang says it's in the southeast. Without wasting a moment, Tian darts off in that direction, knowing that if he manages to get those 500 points, first place will be his for sure. As Tian reaches the southeast, he spots students in First Academy uniforms lying injured or dead on the ground. He's scanning the area, notices a massive eruption taking place nearby. He follows the source and climbs onto a rooftop where he gets a clear view of a gigantic pseudo-beast wreaking havoc. Most of the First Academic pseudos, including Mo Xiaobei, are engaged to bat it with the monster. But it's obvious that the creature is completely out of control. Xiaobei is shouting orders, urging his team to bring the beast down and secure the 500 points. His bodyguard, closely observing the fight, notices that the beast is starting to tire, and quickly informs Xiaobei that now would be the perfect time to strike. Just as they prepare to move in, the pseudo-beast, overwhelmed with fury, lets out a thunderous roar that sends shockwaves tearing through the ground. Mo Xiaobei, hearing the roar, swiftly kicks off the ground, helping to take care of the ground. With a wicked smirk on his face, he lunges forward to deliver the blow to the monster with his sword. The next second, he stabs the blade into the pseudo-beast's head, blood immediately splattering out of it. Instantly, he gets a powerful blow from the monster's tail, causing him to be knocked off the monster's head. Xiaobei has fallen on the ground near a building, causing a fuse stent in the wall. A few seconds later, he raises his head, rejoicing evident on his face, since the 500 points are his now. The pseudo-beast has finally collapsed on the crowd. Seeing this from the roof of near Lapelden, Tan recraps being light. Meanwhile, Mo Xiaobei walks towards his bodyguard, who is bowing down in respect and congratulating his master on scoring 500 points. Xiaobei, being arrogant as usual, claims to have first place in exams now. However, instantly, the monster's skin color changes, and it opens its bloodshot eyes. Without wasting a second, it rises from the ground, roaring loudly. The students freak out, but the monster's anger is doubled now. It is causing the students harm. Xiaobei can't believe how its efforts into the in vain, but to score anyone she react farther. The monster rises into the sky and escapes, leaving chaos and destruction behind. That's when Xiaobei realizes this wasn't just a pseudo-beast, it was a full-fledged monster. With that in mind, all the surviving students from the other economies, along with Xiaobei and his team, decide to go after it. Monsters are worth a massive 1,000 points, and none of them are willing to let that kind of opportunity slip away. Knowing their earlier attacks already weakened it, Xiaobei understands they need to tax Quexape and Salvador stanches the jelb and claims the reward. If they don't, all their sacrifices and effort will mean nothing. Meanwhile, Yetian stands on the rooftop of a building, surrounded by a surge of powerful energy, a confident smile on his face. Thanks to the skills he copied, he knows he's faster than Xiaobei and the others, and he never expected a monster worth 1,000 points to show up so suddenly. Without wasting time, he decides to go all in, pushing his speed and power to the limit. His aura flares stronger than ever, and with unwavering determination in his eyes, he launches himself into the sky. In just a few seconds, he covers a huge distance, racing to catch up and track down the monster. Sometime later, the massive monster crawls toward a crumbling, rubbled building, leaving a trail of thick, purplish mucus behind as it tries to hide. At that exact moment, Yetian arrives at the scene, landing smoothly on the ground. He quickly notices that the first academy students haven't reached the area yet and spots the fresh mucus left by the monster. Without hesitation, he crouches down and touches it, frowned to determine how recently the monster passed through. Following the trail, he moves toward the rubbled building and stops just outside, standing still as he senses the presence inside. A greedy smile spreads across his face at the thought of claiming 1,000 points all for himself. As Yetian carefully enters the building, he's immediately hit by the strong, pungent stench of the monster. Even though he knows it's close by, he walks forward without fear, his energy beginning to fill the space around him. As he scans the surroundings, his eyes suddenly widen in shock, and a drought of cold sweat runs down his forehead. Right in front of him is the massive monster, its mouth wide open as it drinks some kind of liquid dripping from the ceiling. The source is a strange, shiny stone, and the liquid falling from it is clearly not ordinary water. Eatin wastes no time and pulls his sword from its sheath, smoking at the thought of earning those 1,000 points first and dealing with the strange liquid later. With burning determination in his eyes, he charges straight at the monster, but the beast senses him and instantly reacts. That leaps high into the air with monster speed, catching Yetian off guard. As Yetian tries to dodge, the monster slams its hand into the ground, sending out a powerful shockwave that throws him back hard. Still, he doesn't give up. He quickly grabs his bow and in the blink of an eye, draws 3 arrows and fires them at the monster. 2 of them hit the creature straight in the eyes, and blood immediately spurts out as the beast howls in pain and agony. He, grasping his sword tightly, rushes towards the monster again and strikes at the monster. The intensity of that stab is so powerful that Yetian's hands are shivering from its intensity. Running down the monster's body, he cuts the flesh of the monster with his sword alternately. The monster, rising in pain, splashes his blood everywhere. Before the huge monster collapses on the ground, Yetian has already jumped off its body. As soon as the battle is over, Yetian smiles wickedly with a sigh of relief, admitting that there was no way he could have killed it if Mo Xiaobei and his group didn't wear the monster down first. His focus then shifts towards the liquid, wondering what it is. Though towards him, it doesn't matter since a monster was after this. It must mean that it is some kind of treasure. Without putting any more logic, he collects the dropping liquid in his flask, deciding to examine it later. Additionally, Yetian removed one of the eyeballs of the monster with his sword, as proof that it had been killed, and since the blood of the heart of the monster is extremely valuable, he collected it too and into this flask. As the drops filled the stone-filled half of the flask, Yetian thought it was more than enough. One last time he looks at the stone on the ceiling, a thought comes into his mind to not let this thing be a center of attention for Mo Xiaobei. So without any second thoughts, he quickly cuts off the rock hanging from the roof, putting it in the bag. With that, Yetian decides to leave, satisfied that with all these things, he will definitely be placed first. Meanwhile, sometime later, the students of the first academy arrive at the student and find the master lying dead. As they examine the body, panic quickly spreads among them after they discover that one of its eyeballs has been removed, and its heart has been completely drained of blood. Mo Xiaobei's bodyguard is stunned by the sight and turns to his master, asking what they should do next, since all that's left is a lifeless corpse, which holds no real value anymore. Xiaobei's fists tremble with rage, and his teeth grind as his face flushes crimson with fury. Demanding to know who dared to steal the 1,000-point trophy that was rightfully his, he swears to hunt down and destroy whoever took it. Ye Tian stays hidden in the same building, quietly watching the students from the first academy. Raindrops fall steadily, soaking him as he observes from above. That's when he notices the group leaving the building. One of the men suggests to Mo Xiaobei that whoever stored the points must have gone inside, prompting Xiaobei to order a full search of everyone they come across. He makes it clear that they must find the thief no matter what, and he won't let the person responsible get away so easily. Yi Tian hears everything and realizes he needs to stay out of sight for a while or risk being discovered. With that in mind, he leads to the air, weaving between tall, half-ruined buildings, lost in thought. Sooner or later, all the students, including Mo Xiaobei, will know the truth. Once he submits the monster parts for point calculation at the end of the exam in 3 days, it will be clear that he was the one who defeated the monster worth 1,000 points. Until then, he decides to stay low and focus on getting even stronger. Just then, Ye Tian spots a place that looks safer for shelter and lands there. He opens his bag and studies the monster's blood. When their entailment's stronger, he might can't by drinking it. Without a second thought, he gulps it down. The taste is absolutely disgusting, but for Ye Tian, gaining strength to protect his sister is worth any price. As he thinks about her, far away at her school, Yu wonders how her brother is doing. Back with Ye Tian, a powerful surge of energy surrounds him, and his cultivation speed begins to rise almost 4 times faster than normal. That's when he realizes why Chendong and the others were growing stronger so quickly. With just 2.5 days left, who knows, he must cultivate as hard as he can. 3 days later, the examiner from the academy starts recording everyone's points. Li Yunxing steps up confidently, a proud look on his face, and asks the examiner to announce his score. He has 195 points, which he considers a solid result. Many students are impressed, nodding in approval, until Mo Xiaobei and his bodyguard arrive. With a smug grin, Xiaobei mocks the others for celebrating such low scores. Then, with a wicked smile, he hands his bag to the examiner. The entire arena erupts in chaos when the examiner announces his total, 427 points. Lin Yunxing, filled with jealousy, accuses Mo Xiaobei of stealing points, but the other students are clearly impressed and begin congratulating him for having the highest score so far. However, Xiaobei's expression darkens as he admits that the true highest score should be 1,000. Since no one else has shown up with that number, the examiner concludes that anyone who hasn't returned by now is most likely that, and based on that, Ma Xiaobei should be awarded first place in the exam. Just as the decision seems final, a sound of footsteps echoes through the area, catching everyone's attention. The students and the examiner all turn toward the source, and from a distance they spot a shadowy figure approaching. Curiosity fills the air as they watch closely, eager to find out who this mysterious student really is. The student turns out to be none other than Ye Tian. He walks up confidently to the examiner and hands over his bag, which contains the monster's bagwills. The examiner, clearly stand, loudly announces Ye Tian's score, 1,163, declaring him the top scorer in this year's practical exam. His rewards include 3 bottles of monster blood and 100,000 won in cash. Ye Tian's friends cheer for him with excitement, while Li Yuncheng stands there in disbelief, wondering how this kid managed to pull off such a victory. Meanwhile, Mo Xiaobei grits his teeth, realizing he has been publicly overshadowed. What stings even more is finding out the person who beat him is find a think Hadding. What's quite theory in his eyes. He signals his bodyguard to dig up everything there is to know about Ye Tian. Despite the tension, Zhang Bao beams with pride, flexing in front of the first academy students and bragging that his friend just did something legendary. On the other hand, the professor of the 5th academy doesn't share the same joy. He looks concerned, knowing Ye Tian has now offended a family as powerful as the Mo clan, and fears that this victory might cost him his life. Later on, the top 3 participants, Ye Tian, Xiaobei, and Lin Yunxing, fears getting their photos taken, officially marking the end of the practical examination, followed by the prize distribution. As they stand together on the podium, Xiaobei throws a backhanded compliment at Ye Tian, praising him for having the guts to steal from him. But before the tension escalates, Lin Yunxing steps in and defends Ye Tian, pointing out that just like Xiaobei, Ye Tian earned his points through his own skill. Still clinging to his pride, Xiaobei claims he's the trail-based, prompting Ye Tian to challenge him right then and there to a fight whenever he's ready, so they can settle who truly deserves that title. Ye Tian knows that once you're targeted by someone powerful or politically connected, there's no running away. The only option is to become strong enough that they won't dare challenge you again. Fast forward 3 days, Ye Tian finally returns home. Ye Yu immediately rushes to hug him and checks if he's hurt. She's relieved to see he's okay. Ye Tian then surprises her with a large sum of money, telling her it's for her education and living expenses. Their playful moment is interrupted when he pulls out a mysterious book, the Illustrated Book of Treasures. Ye Yu eagerly sits beside him as they flip through its pages together, and that's when Ye Tian spots an image of the very same stone he saw on the ceiling during his hunt. It's called the Terracore Elixir, a rare substance known to boost a person's natural talent for cultivation, though it only works for those with low or mid-level abilities. Interestingly, the book also mentions that even rarer terramordial stones, which can enhance high-level talents as well, are sometimes found nearby. This makes Yantian realize that the monster must have used the terracore elixir to cross Drounder, and now he's accidentally taken this incredibly rare treasure without even knowing its true value. His thoughts are interrupted when Yayu hands him the terracore elixir, now stored in a small flask, but Yetin no longer needs it, so he simply smirks and tells Yayu to drink it instead, saying it's her turn to become stronger. Yayu is completely shocked. Both siblings are sitting in the lounge, but none of this makes sense to her. She refuses to drink the elixir, arguing that she hasn't even awakened her talent yet, and awakened it in a waser. Or they check her talents window. It shows cultivation talent as low tier, and her first talent as novice tier, still unawakened. Since her talent is low tier, there should definitely be some improvement after drinking the terracore elixir, though Ye Tian has no idea how big that improvement might be. Still, Yayu suggests they sell it instead, saying that something this valuable would fetch a huge price. Ignoring what he calls her dumb suggestion, Ye Tian flipped through the book again, and learns that the location where the elixir was found, waited learns that the lure terramorial sown. Realizing he destroyed the place, he starts to regret it. Now, if word gets out, potential buyers might not believe he doesn't have the stone and could even come after him for it. Yayu is stunned, calling it a complete waste. Not wanting to waste the elixir too, Ye Tian quickly picks it up and, before she can protest, opens her mouth and forces her to drink it. Yayu grunts and coughs, but then a warm, comfortable feeling spreads through her. However, when they check her status again, her cultivation talent still shows as low tier, leaving Ye Tian wondering if the bulk might have been wrong. Yayu, feeling sleepy, decides to lie down and rest. Meanwhile, Ye Tian chooses to wait a little longer, thinking maybe the elixir just hasn't taken effect yet. About an hour later, Yayu is fast asleep on the sofa, while Ye Tian sits nearby at the table in the same lounge. Suddenly, strong waves of talent aura begin to radiate from Yayu. Ye Tian quickly checks her status window, and it's stunned to see her cultivation talent has jumped to mid-tier, an increase of 2 full tiers. Of the mid-tier cultivation talent combined with her rare frost talent, Ye Tian is certain that Yayu has the potential to become a top-ranking martial warrior in the future. That realization sharpens his own determination. Thinking of Shelbei, he silently dares him to bring it on, because Ye Tian refuses to ever lose to him. Later, back in his room, Ye Tian is drinking the monster's blood again, which tastes worse than anything he's ever had. Worse than shit, even. But to offset the horrible flavor, he bunches on peanuts while wondering just how much this will improve his cultivation's will. To his surprise, the speed is now increasing at 8 times the normal rate. He's amazed at how effective mid-rank monster blood really is. If he had enough of it, he's confident he could break through to the martial warrior realm within a month. Unfortunately, he only has 2 bottles left, which leaves him wondering what his next move should be. 10 days later, deep in the woods of the 5th Academy, Ye Tian is calmly meditating. His power is quietly circulating, when Zhang Bao comes rushing toward him in a panic. Out of breath and full of fear, Zhang tells him that Mo Xiaobei has gone into seclusion, and is trying to break through to the martial warrior realm. Jane is shocked to see that Ye Tian doesn't even flinch. Instead of being worried, Ye Tian actually feels disappointed that Xiaobei hasn't challenged him yet. He already looked into Xiaobei's talent and knows that his cultivation is mid-tier as well, so it'll likely take him about a month to make the breakthrough. Chang tries to make him see how serious this is, reminding him that Xiaobei comes from a wealthy and powerful family, and that just 3 bottles of monster blood won't be enough to beat someone like that. Getting Dermok, John promises to collect Ye Tian's corpse as a loyal friend, and even vows to take good care of Yayu. Tian completely ignores the nonsense and focuses on what he has left, some low-rank monster blood and the blood from the monster's heart. With those, he'll probably reach the advanced martial apprentice rank, which is just one small step below the martial warrior realm. It might not be enough for a full breakthrough, but with his speed and sword talent, he's confident he can still go head-to-head with a real martial warrior. In another part of the world, at Demo Estate, the steel gates of the Grand Castle burst open, and from a distance, the shadow of a powerful figure emerges. It's none other than Mo Xiaobei. His bodyguard immediately bows in respect and congratulates him on successfully advancing to the martial warrior realm. Mo Xiaobei has undergone complete transformation. A strong, commanding energy now surrounds him, and it's clear that things are about to get much tougher for Ye Tian than he ever anticipated. In the hall, Xiaobei is being attended at his servants, looking calm and composed. Meanwhile, Mo En, an elite martial warrior of the Linhai Base's wealthy and prestigious Mo family, and the father of Mo Xiaobei, enters the room. Mo En is overjoyed that his son has completed his secluded training and praises him for successfully breaking through and becoming a full-fledged martial warrior. Xiaobei, now clearly stronger and more confident, assures his father that he will never bring dishonor to the Mo family name. When Mo En tells him that the family's ancestor will personally reward him, Xiaobei immediately kneels, expressing heartfelt thanks to both his father and their ancestors for the guidance and support they've given him over the years. His father doesn't let him kneel long and gently urges him to eat and enjoy all his favorite food and drinks, specially prepared on his orders. As soon as Moen leaves, Xiaobei's expression darkens. He turns to his bodyguard and demands to know if the task he assigned before going into seclusion has been completed. Without hesitation, the bodyguard informs him that Ye Tian has no parents, no family ties, and no politico or influential backing, which means they can deal with him however Xiaobei wants. Hearing that his enemy has no protection or support, Xiaobei decides it's time to end the game, but he plans to do it in a far more entertaining way. Believing it to be weak, Xiaobei orders his bodyguard to arrange his assassination. The bodyguard warns that committing murder in their territory could cause complications, but Xiaobei insists on doing it discreetly using a shadow assassin. Although the bodyguard hesitates, knowing hiring a shadow assassin will cost at least 1 million yuan and might not be worth, Xiaobei explains his reasoning. In Linhai base, only a few powerful families hold control, while everyone else lives like slaves. When poor commoners show signs of talent, the elite act quickly to eliminate them and maintain their grip on power. Meanwhile, deep in the forest of the 5th Academy, Ye Tian has been training for hours, his body surrounded by a strong aura. When he senses the rain approaching, he decides to head home. As he walks through the pouring rain, he suddenly feels a presence nearby and trucks the Studensenba. At suddenly Li Kun, possessions Shudentand. Before Tian can fully process what's happening, Li Kun leaps from a nearby rooftop and attacks him with a sword. Tian narrowly dodges the strike and demands to know who he is. Li Sun grins with a sinister edge and makes it clear that he's there to kill him. Li Kun's eyes are bloodshot, and a red dagger is clenched between his teeth. His terrifying appearance sends Ye Tian's thoughts racing as he tries to make sense of the situation. At first, he suspects this could be an assassin sent by Mo Xiaobai, but that doesn't quite add up. Xiaobei is already strong enough to face him openly, so why would someone with that kind of power resort to a sneak attack? The confusion lingers in his mind, but he doesn't have time to dwell on it. Li Kun suddenly leaps high into the air, dagger pointed forward, ready to strike. Ye Tian quickly raises his sword to block the attack and then jumps back, only to realize that Li Kun has vanished. That's when he understands the nature of the shadow talent. It grants the ability to turn invisible. As Ye Tian turns around, Li Sun reappears right behind him, blade aimed at the bind of his hind. But thanks to her speed skill, Tian narrowly dodges the strike. The failed sneak attack frustrates Li Kun, who clearly didn't expect someone at Tian's level to be this fast. Tian decides it's time to stop playing defense and flips the situation. With a wicked grin, he lunges forward and swings his weapon at Li Kun. But once again, the assassin disappears. This kind of talent would be difficult for an ordinary martial artist to handle, but against the Tian, tricks like these are completely useless. In the middle of a narrow alley, Ye Tian stands the focus entirely of sensing his opponent. The moment he feels a shift in energy, he swiftly swings his sword, sending Li Kun's body flying through the air. Blood gushes from Li Kun's mouth as he crashes to the ground, stunned and disbelieving. He can't comprehend how Ye Tian, who isn't even an elite martial warrior, could see through his shadow talent. Driven by curiosity and desperation, he demands an explanation. But Ye Tian remains calm, slowly walking toward him, and instead of answering, turns the question back on him, saying that if Li Kun really wants to know, he must first reveal his own identity. Smirking, Li Sun tries to reach for his weapon and tuns that he'll only reveal the answer when Tian is taking his last breath. In a flash he attacks again. Ye Tian leaps into the air to dodge the strike, and the moment his feet touch the ground, he launches forward with incredible speed, piercing his sword straight through Li Kun's body. Standing behind him, Ye Tian demands once more to know who hired him. With a dying laugh, Li Kun praises Tian as the strongest martial artist that's ever fought, and with a strident breath, Li Kun presses Evers Mo Xiaobei. Tian crouches beside the fallen body, reaching toward the streams of dark energy leaking out, and copies Li Kun's shadow talent. As the power transfers, a surge of energy rushes through Ye Tian's body, and his status window confirms the successful copy. Now, it shows a mid-tier cultivation talent and blade talent, with both his speed and shadow talents ranked at the novice tier. Rain continues to pour from the sky, with flashes of lightning cutting through the dark clouds as blood covers Li Kun's lifeless fleece, instead of leading him through. Ye Tian gathers nearby stones and buries the body beneath them. As he does, a thought crosses his mind, that a person shouldn't live like a leaf, helplessly tossed around by the wind and rain. Walking away, he notices a single leaf drifting down, catches it in his hand, and silently promises himself that he will live not as the fallen leaf, but as the wind and the rain itself, strong, powerful, and unstoppable. Leaving the forest behind, Tian returns home just as Havi Khans continue the gather over the sea. After a hot shower and drying off, he settles into the lounge, sinking into the sofa with a long sigh of relief. He's brought back everything that belonged to Li Kun, including his weapons. Picking up the twin blades, Tian immediately realizes they are primordial weapons, the kind that far outclass his own sword, which had broken during the fight. Li Tun's belongings also include a gold card worth 1 million yuan and a silver card worth 100,000, making a total of 3.5 million yuan. Without a second thought, Tian slit the cards into his wallet, grinning at the idea of using the money Xiaobei spent to kill him for his own benefit. Among the items, he also finds a book titled Shadow Blade, a bronze-rank blade skill, and with a gleam in his eye, he adds it to his growing arsenal. Upon opening the book, Tian is thrilled to find exactly what he needs, knowing that blade skills can help him fully unleash the potential of his blade talent. Without wasting time, he heads to his bedroom, grinning as he slams the door shut and sits on the bed to begin learning. He opens the first shutter on the skill book, ready to dead to training, but reality suddenly strikes him. A wave of panic hits as he realizes Yeyu isn't home yet. Fear creeps in, and Tian bolts back to the living room, his mind racing. If Mo Xiaobei had enough information to send an Asachan after him, then it's possible Yeyu is in danger too. Without a second thought, Tian leaps from the balcony, dashing from rooftop to rooftop, his heart pounding with worry as he prays for his sister's safety. When he arrives at a regular middle school in the downtown area, he lands in the schoolyard and starts searching frantically. Even though he knows this is an ordinary school where martial warriors aren't allowed to cause trouble or harm students, Tian isn't convinced that someone like Xiaobei would care about rules. Suddenly he feels something poke him in the back. A voice warned him not to move. Reacting instinctively, Tian spins around and prepares to counter, but stops cold when he stings into his sister, Yeyu, holding an umbrella and praying. She casually explains that she was on cleanup duty after class and had stayed behind to tidy up the rooms, completely unaware of her brother's panic. Walking through the streets on their way back home, Yeyu notices her brother completely soaked, barefoot, and without an umbrella. Concerned, she asks him what happened, but instead of telling her the truth, Tian brushes it off with a vague excuse. As they continue walking along the sidewalk, a sleek black-tinted car idles by the roadside. Inside, Mo Xiaobei sits sadly, gritting his teeth in frustration, his eye mocked on Tian. He can't understand why his target is still alive and unharmed, and the sight of Ye Tian walking casually beside his sister only fuels his rage. On their way back home, the siblings stop by a sausage shop, and as soon as their order is ready, they enjoy the weather while strolling along the busy street. Tian casually asks Yeyu what she'd like for dinner, mentioning that he'll be cooking tonight. After thinking for a moment, she requests his signature dish, boiled meat slices. Meanwhile, the same black-tinted car from earlier is still following them, but this time Tian notices it and relaxes their bane stalked. Without letting Yeyu suspect anything, they safely return to their apartment, though Tian keeps an eye on the car still parked outside. Inside, Yeyu calls him to help set the table for dinner. 3 days pass, the sky's clear, but the stalking continues. Yeyu is back in class, fully focused on her studies, while Tian watches over her from a nearby rooftop, determined to protect her. That same black-tinted car is parked outside her school, and the thought of his enemy targeting his sister fills him with anger. When the car finally targets him away, Tian immediately decides to fill it, hoping it will lead him to some answers. Summoning magic around himself, Tian leaps swiftly from one building to another, and arrives at the location where the black car has stopped near a construction site. Landing quietly on top of a construction crane for a better view, he watches as someone steps out of the car and walks into the building. When Tian gets a proper look, he immediately recognizes the man as his enemy. Inside the building, blood stains the floor as a bouncer mercilessly beats a man who lies there begging for mercy, saying he has no mind to repay Xiaobei, but promises to return it once he collects enough. He pleads desperately, asking Xiaobei to let him go. Sitting casually against the wall, Xiaobei coldly threatens to double the debt if it's not paid today, reminding the man that borrowing his money comes at a heavy cost. The man kneels, explaining that the interest is unbearable, and he has elderly parents and children to care for, so he truly can't pay today. Before Xiaobei can respond, his main bodyguard walks in, and Xiaobei immediately demands Mu's body shadow assassin. The bodyguard reports that the assassin has disappeared, though he will try to reach him through another contact. Hearing this, Tian now has full confirmation that Xiaobei was behind the assassination attempt. Meanwhile, Xiaobei's frustration boils over, and he kicks the poor man until he dies. Showing no remorse, he orders one of his men to dispose of the body. He then asks his bodyguard if he has figured out how to deal with Tian's sister. Bowing his head slightly, the bodyguard informs him that he plans to hand the task to a friend who has just been released from prison. As Xiaobei walks toward the bodyguard, his frustration prevails ever. He admits that trusting others was his mistake, and now he'll handle everything himself. Without another word, he throws a punch that knocks the bodyguard to the ground instantly, coldly calling it punishment for failing his duty. Seizing the moment, Tian summons his primordial weapon and launches himself forward to strike Xiaobei from behind. Just in time, Xiaobei turns around, and for a split second fear flashes across his face. A strike of the blade slices through the air. Although Xiaobei dodges slightly to the side, Blood bursts through the cut as Tian's blade finds a mark. Tian stands firm, a wicked grin stretching across his face. The body hits the ground, and the remaining guards gather around in shock, realizing their master has been killed. Frowning, Xiaobei's closest bodyguard assumes the killer used the shadow assassin's skill to hide the body and suspects it might be Li Kun. But after a brief moment of eerie silence, yet Tian steps out from the shadows, his blades spread wide. As soon as they see him, most of the bodyguards flee in fear, leaving only the main one behind. His scenes is ground and fifers Tian, demanding to know how he got the shadow talent. Tian doesn't answer and keeps walking toward him. The man yells louder, insisting he's looked into Tian's background and knows he's just low-tier trash. He demands again to know how someone like him could take down the young master with a single strike, and where Li Kun is. Ignoring every word, Tian leaps into the air and slashes down with precision, slicing the man's throat with ease. Calmly, he wipes the blood from his blades using a handkerchief marked with the shadow assassin's symbol, and tosses it onto the bodies. Before walking away, he glances back and says coldly that he's not some coolest sheep they can slaughter, so they've only got themselves to blame for picking the wrong guy. 1 hour later, Moen and his team arrived at the scene, his eyes burning with rage and fury, focused only on finding the person responsible for his son's death. During the investigation, one of his men discovers the handkerchief Yet Hin had left behind, marked with the symbol of a shadow assassin. This confirms their suspicion that a shadow assassin was behind the deaths of Xiaobei and his men. Just then, Elder Mo, the Grand Elder of the Linhai Base's prestigious Mo family and one of its few great martial warriors, enters the site. Upon seeing him, Moen falls to his knees, sobbing and wailing over the loss of his son, the prodigy of the Mo family. In contrast, Elder Mo remains calm and composed, asking Moen to stand and speak properly. But Moen, overwhelmed by grief, continues crying, unable to compose himself. He mourns that his son had the potential to become a truly great martial warrior, perhaps the one who would have elevated their family to a new level of greatness. Struggling through his sorrow, he informs the Grand Elder that Xiaobei had just broken through to the martial warrior realm and recently attended his celebratory banquet, only to meet such a brutal end. The Grand Elder agrees that Xiaobei had immense potential and could have become the second great martial warrior in the family after him, acknowledging that this tragedy has completely shifted the course of their family's future. That being said, Moan hands the Grand Elder the handkerchief family the crime scene, begging him not to let his son's murder go in vain and to avenge Xiaobei. As the Grand Elder examines the handkerchief, he immediately recognizes that it belongs to a shadow assassin and assumes that one of the families who hold grudges against them must be behind it, as only they would have the means and motive to discreetly hire such a dangerous killer to eliminate someone so influential. However, as he lifts the handkerchief for a closer look, his eyes narrow in surprise. He spots faint traces of iron fang, and he saw that instantly starts up. Back at school, Jean Bao is ranting to Tian about the strength of the Iron Fang base, which is evidently stronger than their Linhai base. He briefly explains that the Mo family's Grand Elder suspects there are families in the Linhai base secretly colluding with the Iron Fan base, possibly aiming to eliminate the younger generation's elites, and then take over the entire Linhai base. Lowering his voice, Jean Bao adds that he even heard Mo Xiaobei was killed right after breaking through to the martial warrior realm. Hearing this, Tian Krutha calms breaking, hiding the grin threatens through pure, relieved that no one is suspecting him of the crime. At the same time, John calls Tian lucky for not getting killed, since Xiaobei had planned to take care of him once he became a martial warrior. Silently listening, Tian falls into thought, remembering that he was the one who planted Li Kun's handkerchief at the crime scene, the one marked with the word shadow, to steer suspicion away from himself. But he never expected the Grand Elder to find the Iron Fan base's symbol on that same piece of cloth. Now Tian isn't sure if he accidentally exploited an Iron Fan, or if the old man is twisting things for his own political gain. The next morning at 4, Tian wakes up and gets ready for training. Just as he's about to leave, his sister Yeyu stops him, worried and asking where he's going so early. Tian tells her he's heading to the wild zone to train. He needs to grow stronger as quickly as possible. Yeyu frowns, upset that he just returned a few days ago and is already leaving again. Before he can step out, she runs up and hugs him from behind, and Tian gently promises that he'll be hugs him. Up in her hinden into highlands, Tian scans the area properly. Rumors say that high-level monsters roam here, but with his current strength, he knows better than to venture too deep. For now, he sticks to the outer edge, where the lower-level monsters lurk, playing it safe while still pushing himself to grow stronger. With a determined grin, Tian tells himself that this time, he'll become a martial warrior no matter what. Just as he begins his hunt, the ground suddenly starts to shake, and panic flashes across his face as he wonders if it's an earthquake. But when he turns around, he spots the source, an armored ox with a weak-tier bloodline hound, and a low-tier defense tot. Tian studies its status window and hums to himself, calmly analyzing the situation, and wondering whether the monster has seen him. The answer comes quickly as the ox charges straight at him, Instead of dodging or retreating, Tian tosses his bag to the ground and lunges forward to meet it head-on. Leaping into the air, he summons his primordial dagger and strikes, but the monster activates its defense talent, creating a shield around itself that blocks the attack from all sides. The ox roars, setting out a powerful shockwave that blocks Tian backwards and slams him into a nearby rock. Despite the hit, Tian stands up with a wicked smile, praising the monster's talent and declaring that it will soon be his. Holding both primordial daggers, he moves forward again with confidence while the monster waits in place, roaring with intensity as it prepares for the next strike. The monster struck the ground with its hoof, its eyes burning with red fire as it opened its mouth and charged forward. Raising his dagger, Tian smirked and vowed to himself that he would make the low-tier defense talent his. That his intention, he lunged forward and leapt onto the ox's massive body. Once above its head, Tian recalled that most monsters tend to have the same weak spot. Gripping his weapons tightly, he drove the daggers into the protective field around the ox. He poured all his strength into breaking through, but the barrier held firm. Then, his dagger struck the same point again, and a crack appeared in the shield, but the dagger shattered in the process. Tian hadn't expected a monster with a low-tier defense talent to be this tough. Just as refocused on the ox, it swung its fist and sent him flying. Gritting his teeth, Tian tried to regain control, but he was hurled into a cluster of rocks, raising a cloud of dust around him. Still, he refused to give up. Clutching his other dagger, he stood up with even more determination to claim the talent. The more pain he felt, the more he desired the ability. Suddenly, a notification popped up in front of him, revealing that the talent copying cooldown was 16 days. Ignoring the detail for now, Tian picked up one of the broken daggers and reflected. Judging by its abilities, the armored ox fell similar between the silver moonwolf and the viper. Since the ox had a large body, if he could pinpoint its weak spot and launch precise surprise attacks, he knew he still had a real shot at victory. Using the shadow talent, Tian dots forward, circling the monster several times. The tip of his dagger strikes the protective barrier repeatedly, but it still can't pierce through. While the shadow talent is working in his favor, keeping the monster unaware of his attacks, his blade talent is proving useless against the solid defense shield. Frustration boils inside him as he struggles to find any weak spot. He starts to wonder if this defense talent has any gaps at all, but after a closer look he notices something. The barrier appears noticeably thinner around the monster's butt. Scratching his cheek and a little unsure, Tian mutters to himself that maybe this is the weak point. Without wasting time, he activates his shadow talent and rushes in, aiming the dagger right at the spot. As soon as the blade pierces through, the monster lets out a thunderous roar, and within seconds its massive body collapses to the ground. A pool of mucus sprouts beneath it as it lies there cold and lapses. Squinting with a smug look, Tian can't help but feel proud that his guess was right after all. Just as Tian had expected, once the monster was dead, the blade pierced through its body with ease, making him realize that no matter how much strength or capability someone has, death renders it all meaningless. He begins storing the monster's blood in several glass flasks, wiping the sweat from his forehead as he finishes. Noticing the ox's thick hide, he knows it will fetch a good price, so he also plans to take its eyes and testicles. However, the most plausible price is the player's horns. With a swift swing of his dagger, he cuts them clean off. Loading all the loot onto his back, Tian sets off in search of a quiet place to cultivate. Eventually he finds a cave and settles there in peace. Taking a deep breath, he places the fresh monster blood beside his sister's peanuts, which he uses to mask the awful taste. Staring at the flasks, he plans to rely on them to push through to the martial warrior realm. Picking up one of the bottles, he gulps down the blood and quickly chews peanuts afterward. Instantly, a powerful weight of energy surrounds him, and his cultivation coons. 20 days later, inside the cave, Tian lets out a long breath, but then his eyes suddenly ignite with blue flames, and a piercing scream bursts from his mouth as lightning surges through the entire cave. The ground outside shakes from the aftershocks of his transformation. Two girls stand near the cave. One of them, wearing a red cloak, finds it amusing that someone would choose to break through to the martial warrior realm in such a barren and isolated place. Meanwhile, the other girl, dressed in black cloak with the martial brilliance element, remains quiet but offers a faint smile, clearly intrigued by what she's sensing. Back inside the cave, Tian feels a powerful surge of energy and instantly recognizes it as the martial warrior realm. His mind quickly shifts to the armored ox he defeated, remembering that the talent copying cooldown was 16 days, and realizing it has now been 20. He rushes back to the spot where he left the ox, hoping to copy its defense talent. However, upon arrival he finds only the skeleton remains, making it impossible to copy the talent. Frustrated, he regrets cutting the monster into so many pieces. On the other side, the red-cloaked girl wonders if Tian might have been the one who killed the monster. The girl in black shakes her head and disagrees, pointing out that the creature had been dead for days, while Tian only just broke through to the martial warrior realm. She adds that it would have been impossible for a martial apprentice to defeat such a monster. but still quietly praises his courage for even daring to scavenge in such a dangerous mountain. Before heading back home, Tian takes SSS-Class to Gil for a swim, heading Spatoni Bays and Bawadsom. Seeing this, both girls quickly freak out and, completely embarrassed, decide to leave. Later, at the Linhai Base's Martial Marketplace, Tian explores the area and is impressed by how massive the market is. As he continues walking, he spots a shop in front of him called the Martial Pavilion, the same one the girls from earlier were associated with. The girl in the red cloak nudges her friend in the black cloak, pointing out that he's the guy they saw earlier. Feeling a strange sense of familiarity, Tian turns toward the girls, Emily locks eyes with the girl in black. Something clicks. Shocked, he asked if she's Yayu, his sister. When Tian calls out to the girl, mistaking her for his sister, he quickly gets embarrassed. But when he glances at her status window, his eyes widen in shock. This girl is an absolute genius. Her name is Yui Lin, and she possesses a high-tier cultivation talent, a mid-tier sword talent, and a low-tier speed talent. The girl in the red cloak, Xiao Yu, gets furious at Tian for calling her friend his sister, and for praising her despite being, in her words, a scrounger. This leaves Tian confused, wondering if he still smells bad even after taking a bath. Wheeling calmly warns Xiao Yu not to speak recklessly. Lowering her voice, she whispers something to Xiao Yu and tells her to act accordingly before walking away. Instantly, Xiao Yu's entire demeanor changes. She bows respectfully and apologizes for her earlier rudeness, explaining that her lady, Yui Ling, has corrected her. She further adds that Yui Ling had to leave first due to important matters. Grabbing Tian's arm, she assumes he assured suppliers insists that, because of their earlier behavior, they will double the price for anything he wants to sell. Two volunteers take his bag full of loot and lead him to a private room. Inside, the place is filled with rare and high-quality items, proving that this is the Martial Marketplace's biggest shop. One of the girls offers him tea and, before stepping out, informs him that the value of the armored ox's horns and leather comes to 20,000 yuan. As promised, they will double it, making it 40,000. This comes as a surprise to Tian, who never expected to walk away with so much money. Hunetto later, Xiao hands him 4 white cars, each worth 10,000 yuan. Grinning with excitement, Tian can't help but think how happy Yu will be when she sees this. Just as he's about to leave, Xiao adds that the manager, Yui Ling, instructed her to let him know that, as a further gesture of apology, he'll receive a 50% discount on anything he wants to buy. Hearing that, Tian decides not to hold back and starts browsing the shop's reference menu. As he scrolls through the list, he finds the prices ridiculously high, and mutters inwardly that the big families controlling the cultivation association are the reason everything is so overpriced. Still, he settles on buying a profound training manual, a monster directory, 3 bottles of mid-tier monster blood, and 3 restorative elixirs. Altogether, it costs 78,500 yuan, but with the discount and a little rounding down, he only needs to pay 70,000. Tian hands over the gold card, glad that he took Li Kun's money, but deep down, he knows this VIP treatment isn't just because someone at the shop called him a scrounger. He's got no clue what they saw, but they're clearly treating him differently for a reason. When the staff says nothing more, he heads for the door, only to be stopped by Shell. A small grin forms on his face. He knew it wasn't going to end that easily. Shell then tells him that her manager would like to meet him, if he's willing. Pressing forward, Tian arrives at a hall on the 2nd floor, and the moment the door opens, he sees Yue Ling sitting there, calmly sipping tea. He's stunned by how much she resembles his sister, but he pushes the thought aside as they greet each other. Yelling wakas and politely mentions that she's from the Mohai base. As soon as they shake hands, Tian manages to copy her high-tier cultivation talent, and with a slight grin, he introduces himself. Yue Ling gestures for Tian to sit, and as she pours him tea, she explains that anyone who steps onto the 2nd floor of the Martial Pavilion is considered a valued guest. Confused, Tian admits that he is of common birth, with no ties to political or influential families, so he doesn't understand why he would be called valuable. Veling agrees but calmly points out that his value lies exactly in that. That's underpomling the lack of affiliation. Tian says nothing in response but quietly notes how composed and thoughtful this girl is, so unlike his sister Yayu. Without wasting time, Yue Ling slides a symbol across the table and reveals the real reason she invited him. She wants him to join her Martial Pavilion. The way she says it reminds him of Yayu, someone he could never bring himself to say no to. Even so, he asks something that's been on his mind. Mohai is a massive base filled with talented people, so why would they want someone like him, a novice martial warrior? Yelling rises and explains that bases like Mohai are powerful, not because they never lack talent, but because they are always searching for more. Tian finds himself unexpectedly impressed. She may look like a delicate girl, but her words carry weight and vision, far beyond anything his silly sister could ever manage. Seeing him lost in thought, Shell cuts in and suggests he shouldn't overthink it, adding that even elite disciples from powerful families dream of joining her lady, but don't meet her standards. Tian knows it's a golden opportunity. yet he also understands that joining any organization means getting upfrienen and Urstin exposure. If anyone finds out about his secret ability, it could lead to a gruesome death. Wanting to stay safe and independent, he hesitates. Yelling notices his reluctance and directly asks for the reason. Struggling to say no to a face that looks so much like his sister's, he tries to explain by bringing up the rumors about the Iron Fang and Vision. He says the incident created chaos among many political families, but ironically, it gave him peace. That's why he doesn't want to live like them, or serve people like them. Yielding is slightly offended by the comparison but keeps her composure and offers him time to observe them first, saying she has more than enough patience. As Tian walks out of the martial pavilion, his thoughts spiral. He questions what it truly means to be a martial warrior, and what talent really is. He's furious that those meant to protect the people are instead of using their power, making life even harder for ordinary folks who already live in constant fear of beasts. On top of that, he feels weak, and in that moment, he fears to grow stronger and rise even higher. Just then, a status window pops up, notifying him that he has successfully copied a high-tier cultivation talent. Seeing the notification, Tian doesn't hesitate. He immediately fuses it. After so many days, Tian is finally back home. The moment Yayu sees him, she runs straight into his arms, hugging him tightly. She playfully teases him about how much tougher he looks after being gone for 20 days. Tian doesn't hold back and proudly tells her that her brother is now a martial warrior. Hearing that, Yayu tells her joy, and seeing her so happy makes Tian smile. He thinks to himself that once her talent awakens, she'll become a martial warrior too, and he decides to keep improving her talent whenever he finds compatible items. After the excitement settles, Yayu insists on giving him a trim since, after growing his hair out for more than 20 days, he's starting to look like a beggar. Now that he's a martial warrior, he needs to take better care of his appearance. Sitting down for a haircut, Tian relaxes completely, trusting Yayu as she's been giving him the same style for years. As she stimps away, a wave of nostalgia hits him. She's been cutting his hair ever since their parents passed away. He remembers when they were younger, how her hands would tremble as she tried to cut his hair after he got roughed up. She had begged him to go to the hospital, but they didn't have the money, so he convinced her to just help cut his hair short so they could clean and dress the wound. Back then, she had dropped the scissors in fear and cried, wishing her brother had the power of the immortal jellyfish, the creature from the story he used to read to her that could heal endlessly. Immortal jellyfish are said to possess a healing ability that allows them to recover almost instantly from injuries. Back then, Tian never believed in any of that, but now, standing in the present and recalling those stories, he quickly rushes to grab the illustrated book of treasures he purchased earlier. Flipping through its pages, he searches for the immortal jellyfish, and finds it almost immediately. According to the book, this creature is a water-type beast with a healing talent, and can be found in a place called the Lake of This. This discovery sparks a thought in Tian. If he can copy this healing talent, he would no longer need to worry about getting injured, and Yayu would finally be able to stop worrying about him. Curious, Yayu peeks into the book and is stunned to see the same creature from the stories of their childhood. Shocked that those tales weren't just made up, still, she pulls Tian back in front of the mirror to finish his haircut. Later that evening, Tian is in his room reading, testing a new body training technique designed specifically for martial warriors. The method progresses in stages. At the Mathisavel, it strengthens the skin, mid-level targets the muscles, and late stage reinforces the bones. Trying it out, Tian quickly realizes that this new technique absorbs energy much faster than his old methods. Eager to amplify his progress, he decides to drink a bottle of mid-tier beast blood. The moment he does, the absorption rate triples. Seeing this improvement, he decides to continue cultivating at home and plans to head to the Lake of Death as soon as the cooldown period ends. Since his talent copying cooldown times 30 days, Ten smirks maliciously, art and planning his next move to find the immortal jellyfish and copy its healing talent. At the martial pavilion, Shao welcomes Tian and assumes he's there to meet Yue Ling, but instead, he says he's looking to buy something. Noticing his neat outfit, Shao thinks to herself that he's looking much more handsome now. When they reach the reception, Tian asks for a map of the Lake of Death. After searching for several minutes, Shao finally finds the map and hands it over. The moment Tian sees it, a wicked grin spreads across his face. Excited to froz cropian some pras italids. As her praying for the map, he quietly sets off for his destination, leaving Shao behind with curious thoughts, wondering if he's off to collect junk again. Watching him leave, a wave of worry hits her. She recalls the warning from the young miss about how dangerous the Lake of Death is, a place crawling with terrifying water beasts where even elite martial warriors struggle to survive. Now she can't help but feel anxious, hoping nothing bad happens to him. At the Lake of Death, Tian is stunned by the sight of its barren and chaotic landscape. The desolate stormy atmosphere makes him even more certain that Kaatal talents wake here, and it's clear from the eerie calm that danger could strike at any moment. Instantly, he spots a water monster emerging, so he activates his invisibility and decides to observe for now. sprinting toward a mountain peak for a better vantage point. He notices a girl and an elderly man diving into the water using an umbrella, right where the monster is appearing. Upon closer look, he realizes it's Yue Ling with her elderly companion. They are both leaping through the air, narrowly avoiding the lightning bolts triggered by the monster's triggers. Yue Ling is clutching Trizd in her hand, and from there its triggers, it's clear they thought they wouldn't make it out alive. As the top-tier monster opens its mouth to devour them, they manage to escape the water just in time. Completely exhausted, Lin collapses onto a nearby rock, unaware that a swarm of small monsters is creeping up behind her. Seeing her fall behind, Tian knows he has no other choice. Using his speed talent, he darts forward in a blur, ready to strike and protect her. Lin keeps running, determined not to let the monsters catch her. One of them is just into his way when an elderly teammate yells at, urging Xian let a distance synth. Just then, Ling turns to face the monster, shuts her eyes, and activates her secret technique. A glowing flower forms on her forehead, a saber appears in her hair. Her hair turns pink, and waves of pink energy swirl around her. In a blink, she vanishes, leaving the monster confused for a moment, until she reappears mid-air, locked onto her enemy with unwavering focus. Without hesitation, she slices the monster clean in half. Watching from a distance, Tian steps back, shaking his head and calling himself a fool. This wasn't a battle a nervous martial warrior like him could ever win. Whatever technique Lin just used, it blew him away. Standing quietly on a nearby cliff, he watches her tear through every monster in her path, cutting them down effortlessly with her saber. At that moment, any doubts he had about her strength vanish. She is clearly an elite martial warrior at the peak of her realm. With her secret technique activated, she is nearly on par with a legendary warrior. Dozens of monsters lie dead around her, and even 10 deep elite Tian ones stand a chance against her. Suddenly, the lake monster rises again, and the elderly man is caught, his leg trapped in its massive jaws. As the creature prepares to devour him, he calls out to Ling, urging her to escape. He warns that her secret technique is about to wear off, and if she doesn't make it out alive, then the deaths of their 10 fallen comrades will have been in vain, especially since the treasure they recovered is so important. Hearing all of this, Tian is stunned by the revelation that 10 people died underwater, and wonders what kind of treasure is worth taking such a massive risk. With no water option, Lin leaps from the dangerous cliff to the one where Tian is standing, safely away from the monster. She notices the flower on her forehead fading, signaling that her technique is wearing off. Exhausted, she collapses to the ground with the treasure beside her. When Tian reaches out to examine it, Lin, despite her weakened state, warns him in a faint voice not to touch it. Seeing how protective she is even in that condition, Tian reassures her that he has no intention of stealing it, and decides to take her somewhere safer, far from the chaos. Gently lifting her into his arms, he asks for her permission to head to a nearby cave. When she remains silent, he takes that as agreement and quietly.
And that wraps up today's journey through the realm. If you enjoyed this tale, be sure to paint face and comment your favorite moment, and subscribe to become a true realm warrior.